Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm just going to briefly talk about really briefly about the sexual safety standards, what we've done, why we've done it, and what we're planning to do next. So CWP, obviously a part of the collaborative, so we have our very local sexual safety collaborative meetings every other week, where we look at our results from the data collection. But we also have a trust-wide meeting, which is represented from numerous different professionals across the trust. And what we do in that meeting is look at the collaborative work that we've done. I sort of hand over anything that I've learned from our groups, and how we can incorporate that into trust-wide learning. We also review any of the up-to-date guidance. We review any of the change projects that we've done as part of the collaborative on the two wards, and any progress that we've made, and share that learning across. And look at developing trust-wide systems, which again comes from the learning, and share any learning and good practice across the trust, so that we're all working in a consistent way across all the different areas. So as Emily's already said, really, the sexual safety standards are for inpatient assessment and treatment services. They were co-produced with people with an experience of inpatient care, and staff who work within the inpatient settings. The 26 standards, which are grouped into 7 domains, and each standard has corresponding guidance and expected outcomes. So what we did is have a look at all the different standards, and we developed a benchmarking tool. And here we've got just a screenshot of a very small section of that. So we took each part, each standard, each domain, and myself and one of our service improvement leads from the trust had a look at each one. We sort of just had a look at what we thought it meant, and what we thought we would need to do to meet that domain. So we did the initial benchmarking ourselves, of what we initially thought, and then we took that to the trust-wide meeting and shared that across the 3 different areas of CWP, and had quite a lengthy discussion about whether we all agreed with our initial benchmark, whether other areas had good pockets of good practice that they were doing that maybe we weren't aware of. So we did then an overall trust-wide benchmarking activity. So as you can just see from there, we've rated each standard, whether we are not confident that we meet it at the moment, whether we're partially confident, or whether we're fully confident. And then we've done an overall confidence level for each domain. And then we've put what we think our evidence is for each part of that. So an example, I suppose, for domain 1, standard 1, is about each individual having their needs met and understood. And I think we've put partially confident for there because we're getting better at it. We are trying to understand it, but we are restricted in some ways. So an example sort of CWP is that we don't have single sex wards. So we may have somebody who is admitted who would have a preference to being on maybe an all female and all male ward, but that's not something currently that we're able to accommodate. But what we do is take that into account and cohort patients and make sure that their needs are met as much as we can possibly do. And I think a lot of that also comes down to staff confidence on admission, of asking people the question in relation to sexual safety. And as a trust, we're not confident that our staff are confident in doing that completely at the moment. But what we are doing is working on our induction for staff and being very mindful of working within a trauma-informed approach. And we do that as part of trust induction and then ongoing training. And it's incorporated now in our regular yearly update for MVA and PAT training. And that is co-produced as well with people with lived experience. So that's just an example really of how we've come to a conclusion for standard 1 in domain 1. And we've done that benchmarking exercise for each standard in each domain. The general gist of it is that we're partially confident in most domains. Some aspects we're not confident yet, and some we are fully confident. So Then we come to what we're going to do about that. So what use is that to us? What's our next steps? So we meet every other month for the trust-wide sexual safety meeting. We will review this in each meeting, and we're going to now start developing an action plan. So for any areas where we're partially or not confident, we need to have a look at what we're going to do about that. And I suppose equally important, the areas that we are already fully confident in is about maintaining that and not losing momentum for the things that we've put in place. So we will be having the action plan for what we need to address and how we sustain our already fully confident standards. And also when we do meet, it's a full MDT approach. So we've obviously got nurses, we usually have matrons and heads of service there, safeguarding attend, all the different professionals relevant to sexual safety attend that meeting. So it's fully co-produced. And that is the gist of what we've done so far for our our benchmarking. Like Emily said, I'm happy to share the tool that we've got, and for people to use that as a tool or to adapt it as you see fit, really. And I'm happy to take any questions if there is any.